session to order. We're a few minutes late. Councilman Paget's going to be a few minutes late, so let the record show that currently we've got Councilman Goolsby, Townsend, and Johnson present. Councilman Paget will be here in just a moment. Councilwoman Rich will not be here this evening. She is doing some training for work out of town. So, Mr. Tullos, could you give us an update on our Q1 goals?
Mayor and council members, on the Q1 goals, I'm just going to read through them real quick and tell you where we're at on each one. The meeting with the Regional Planning Commission about public transportation has been scheduled on March 1st. I sent an invite out. I know Councilwoman Rich was kind of the spearhead behind that, but just to let you know, I think it's at 1:30 in the mayor's conference room. So that'll just be a small meeting, kind of talk about what they've currently got with the Regional Planning Commission, hear about what options might be available if we can partner with them for Wiregrass Transit or other options. So we have a gamut, right? We could start a public transportation authority or something here in Enterprise and buy buses and run public transportation, or we could see if there's a partnership that could be had with a limited number of bus routes to start off and then kind of crawl, walk, run. So we just need to know what those options are to present back to all of you. Brief the council on animal control shelter, schedule a meeting. So we met with Bill Brooks from the SOS Animal Shelter, had an initial meeting with him, good dialogue about that. From our end, we took away that we're going to get him some numbers on what our current contract calls for with animal control, what services we're providing. There's some in the community that want a no-kill animal shelter or have that option anyway. And so we're finding out what the city's costs and contracts look like right now. He was going back to his board to find out what SOS's plans were, get some information on like data, like in the city of Enterprise, Coffee County, the Wiregrass, what are the needs? How many animals are we talking about? Because we want to know if we do something, are we servicing the need or are we just putting a Band-Aid on a problem, and then what would that cost? He was also exploring partnership opportunities with other agencies in the Southeast to figure out are there ways to partner, maybe not build an animal shelter that could house thousands of animals, but maybe we could ship them to other agencies that have resources to do that. So we'll have a follow-up meeting once we both kind of get our information from our respective areas back together, and then come back to the council to brief you on what we found. The firm for wayfinding signage that we had worked with Main Street had not responded back. So Mariah is working with the Main Street program to get other firms' names to send out kind of an RFI to them to get other proposals so that we can get that to you sometime in March. Same with the legal authority for land bank and redevelopment. Reached out to Ben Goldman, who presented during our ALM course on economic development that the community college system offered. I'm waiting on him to get back. He was running basically a conflict report within his firm with Hand Arundel to find out if they had any other clients or anything that would put them in a position that they couldn't do work with the city of Enterprise. So but that's where we're at on that.
And he's I guess recognized as one of the experts in the state on that.
He is. That's who the league brought in to brief all the communities that were part of that program on those issues. So I think he would widely be considered to be one of the preeminent experts in the state. He's also written several periodicals within the ALM and other publications within the state on nuisance properties, land banks, things like that. So not only does he know what he's doing, he's published on the subject. So and he's worked with other communities in the state. Fire chief to consider downtown early warning measures. Just talked to chief. He said he's looking maybe at the first council meeting in March to be able to speak with you guys about that. Construction has started on 3B on the paving projects, and it's well underway. I think you can see if you drive around town or came into City Hall today, that's happening. Phase 2 of the PV Park project, that task order should be on a March agenda. I just talked to Glenn a few minutes ago, and he confirmed that that is on track to be before you in March. City Hall bid award has been pushed out another few weeks, so it should happen still in March. Had some issues because of the scope of work that we're having to do here. A lot of the subs on that project were reluctant to give bids because of the complex nature of the mechanical systems, in particular electrical systems, and they asked for more time. And speaking with Mr. Mott, he thought that that was a good idea and prudent and would help the bid prices if we allowed them to have some more time to look at the plans. Airport spec building design complete. We're on track to do that sometime in March, and we have some good movement on that. Barge Design's in charge of that design process, and we expect to have that done sometime in March. So those are our Q1 goals.
All right, thank you. Any questions of Jonathan on those Q1 goals? All right, good update there. All right, let's move on with the review of tonight's agenda. Try to do this in about 10 minutes. But no, we won't rush it if we don't need to. So, of course, we'll do roll call, prayer and pledge of allegiance, approve the agenda, and the consent agenda, which consists of some work session minutes, meeting minutes, then the contract billings for resurfacing phase 3A and 3B. Glenn, anything we need to know on 3A or 3B? Other than what?
Just about finished with 3A.
Is that what they're working on out at Lakewood and Fairway this morning? Caused me to be late to work.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Lakewood is one of the last ones on 3A.
Yeah.
So, yes, they're in the last stages of that, and I think the completion time on it's like the first or second week of March. And then they're working on 3B as well.
All right, great. Then Fine Getty, which is our monthly invoice for our state government agenda services. Got a few travel requests from Main Street Police Department and requests to sell and dispose or sell inventory from the police department. Then we've got a permit request, which is they've been doing that for as long as I remember, the egg drop, and the St. Patrick's Day Parade request. Chief Moore, I assume no issues with either one of these requests?
Yes,
Okay.
there is an issue, but I'll take care of it before it gets. This won't be an issue, but there's somebody else that just came up today requesting the same exact day,
Okay.
and I've got to work.
But that's not on our agenda, is it?
It is not.
All right.
It's going to affect that, but I think this still needs to be. This works. Done it for every year, but somebody else has requested railroad to be closed, and I can't have two roads
Right.
closed at the same time because that gives nobody a go through.
So if we're going to take them as they're presented to us, we'll approve these tonight.
Yes, and this is a lot bigger event too, so this has to, in my opinion, has to be approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions or concerns on that? All right. Then we've got privilege of the floor and staff reports. No old business tonight. So we'll go straight into new business, which is the, Jonathan, you want to come forward on this sales and use tax administration collection. If y'all remember, several weeks back, we had presentations from both Avenue Insights and the Alabama Department of Revenue. We kind of kicked that to staff to pull the pieces together. Looks like y'all are coming back to us with a recommendation. Anything to add on that?
No, we just, we've used Avenue in the past based on kind of performance and issues that we've had. We feel like it's time to go in a different direction. We also think publicly from a policy standpoint, it eliminates some conflicts potentially for you as elected officials dealing with a state agency versus what some people term as a hired hand for the city.
Yep.
We kind of thought about all of those things and talking to the mayor about how this looks both externally to the public and how it's used internally, even though that's not the case. That's been raised several times to staff from people out in the public. Anyway, that was the recommendation after talking to Leanne, the mayor, and myself.
Right. Any questions or concerns, Jonathan, on that? All right. Pickleball courts. So this is just, we've discussed this in the past. It's just authorizing the mayor to enter agreement with ESCC on the pickleball courts, similar to what we've been doing.
It does, and it doesn't obligate us to necessarily fund the pickleball court. So bids come back and they're too expensive, and we don't, then we just don't have use of that piece of land.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's not our property, so we need some sort of agreement in place to protect our interest and those of the college.
That's right.
All right, tell us about this lease agreement with KPS.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah,
The Rawls.
At the Rawls.
Yeah.
So, assuming that we end up going to bid soon on City Hall, a lot of people are going to be displaced. Tourism, Main Street, special projects, those all fall under Billy Powell now as Director of Community Services and Recreation. His recommendation to me and to the mayor was that we take those positions and find office space for lease outside of City Hall or city facilities. We evaluated multiple city facilities. We tried the business incubator. There's some things in works there that ruled it out. They're actually going to be occupied by a business coming into town. And so that became no longer an option. Then we went and looked at the public works facilities. There were some issues with, I don't know if you've ever been upstairs at Public Works. There's a room up there, but there's some mobility issues for one or more of the employees that would be asked to go up there, as well as 2 office spaces downstairs, which would put them disjointed. And those were the cons that I'm running through on that facility as they were briefed to me. And then we looked at trying to keep them somewhere in City Hall as well. But again, and we looked at the farmers market. So as an example, in the farmers market, there were 17 bookings for the farmers market in March. So if we occupied the farmers market with city personnel during construction, which could take 12 to 18 months at City Hall, people couldn't meet there that already have, potentially booked or planning to book their wedding events, other meetings that were, planned or future plans could no longer be housed there. So we thought that was a detriment to utility for the public for that facility. And then, at City Hall, because of the number of people that would be moving around already, it became very difficult to find a place for them, and that freed up additional space here at City Hall that we could be more flexible with. So with that was the recommendation from Billy Powell to me and the mayor. The mayor supported that decision, that they be allowed to do that for up to 18 months. I think the contract said $1,200 a month. That includes all utilities, water, electricity, all that kind of stuff with it, garbage, and cleaning. So it allows them to have conference space, check with IT, with M4. They can set up a VPN on site there, no issues to our network or to their capabilities to do work. So that was the process we used to vet it, the recommendation that came down, and the mayor supports that recommendation. So,
Any questions, concerns on this?
Billy?
Billy, do you have something to add?
I want to mention this will be temporary until we get the rec center built, and then all offices will be moved over to the rec center. So this is not something we'll be looking at as a long-term process, but we did go through all the different options, such as what Jonathan, Mr. Tarlis mentioned about, and we just felt like this is definitely going to be, at this moment, for the next year until the end of 24, it's going to be our best option. I mean, we even tried the library,
Yeah.
you know, so other than that, so anyway, but just want to make sure y'all knew that it was going to be temporary, short term.
All right. Anything else? All right. Then we've got an intergovernmental service agreement, which we spoke about at the last meeting briefly. Anything to add here?
Again, this will not bind us to do anything. In fact, all it is a proposal that we will submit to Fort Rucker. If they accept our proposal, then we would come back to the council to authorize to engage in that proposal. So this just allowing the mayor to submit that proposal sometime by the end of February. Again, it would not obligate us, but if we are asked to do the work, we would have to come back for approval for that.
Okay. Any questions on? All right. Then the National Fitness Campaign application for grant.
So, this was something that we talked about in the last meeting. I think that you have all had the opportunity to look at the link that was sent about the program. Again, this gives us, it will cost money. It's probably about a 30 or 40% of the total project amount that would be funded through the grant. So that means the city would be responsible to come up with another $80,000 to $100,000 to fund it out in its entirety. The functional fitness space that would be provided would allow the citizens to have options that were originally planned in the recreation center, but cut from the overall scope of the project to reduce cost. We think that this is a cost-effective way to add that back into a project that's not heated and cooled, but still gives a lot of utility to host, yoga, Zumba, other classes outside. People that do CrossFit training can do their box workouts out there. And so it will, I think, be utilized. There's one in Dothan, as I mentioned before, at Westgate. There's some in Huntsville, Pelham, other areas, Prattville, throughout the state. So, this is something where there's over 400 locations of these throughout the state. Blue Cross Blue Shield is the partner in Alabama that funds the grants. It's something that our director of recreation looked at with me and talked to the mayor, and we thought that this would be of value to seek the grant, and if we are awarded, it would be up to council to authorize funding the match.
All right. Any questions? Main Street Alabama pop-up shop. Again, we discussed this at our last meeting.
Yeah. So again, this is something that the Main Street program had. It's very competitive. I think have you all had a chance to see the pictures that Mariah had sent?
There was a video too.
Okay. So those are things that are going on throughout the state that the Main Street program's advocating. We were fortunate enough to be selected to receive one. If we enter into this agreement, we have to have a location to do that. We own very few properties in the Main Street district. The one that came to mind that had the proper utilities and proximity to a restroom was the parking lot adjacent to the library there. We've had, the power company, Barry Mott, others from the city look at that. We think that we can make that work. Library has been, we've talked to the library about the parking, taking up some of their parking over there, as well as the utilization of the restrooms while it's in operation, and they see no issues with it. So we're comfortable making that recommendation to enter into that agreement.
All right. Any questions on the pop-up shop? Next item is this municipal court on-site scanning and indexing. Pretty straightforward. Just a recommendation from Barry to accept the low bid for the municipal court. Any questions on that? Everybody understand what's being asked for there? Okay. Barry, I assume you don't have anything to add on the scanning. All right, so then we've got some recommendations from the Main Street Board to fill the seats of Sheila Harris, Lee Young, Tracy Simmons, and Wendy Grimes. So we've got those recommendations. So unless there's objections, I would ask for a volunteer to make those nominations. First of all, does anybody object to the nominees that have been recommended? So we've got 4 nominees there that are coming as recommendations. So when I call for nominations, you just make those nominations, and then of
All
course,
4 at the same time?
yeah, you can do all 4.
Okay.
And then as long as we don't get any others, obviously we'll have to let anybody else nominate, and then we'll move on with that. Any additions to that? All right, then we've got the ALM, which is Alabama League of Municipalities voting delegate. So call for a motion to appoint the city's voting delegate. Is anybody planning on going to this meeting?
The convention in Birmingham.
May 10th through 13th.
I've gone to it every year so far. I honestly haven't made a decision if I'm going this time or not. If no one else is going and we need someone to go, I'll put it on my calendar to do it. Someone
Mayor,
else is
were you
going.
planning on going? Yeah, okay. Jonathan, are you aware of anybody else that is on May 10th through the 13th? Yeah.
I'm not aware of anyone else going on that.
Okay. Well, then my recommendation would be to appoint Greg if you're okay, and then if you are able to make it, you can be our delegate. I don't think anything detrimental is going to happen to the city if we don't send a delegate, but at least that leaves that option open. And if something happens between now and then, somebody else decides to go, we can always amend that delegation. All right. Then a request from Christina to close city offices from 12:30 to 4:30 for staff development and enrichment events. Any opposition to this request? That'll be out at the Civic Center. All right, then we'll go into the mayor's and the council reports, and that'll be it. Any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt it at the beginning of the next meeting as submitted. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is board appointments. So it is board appointment season. We do that typically in April, right? Isn't that right, Beverly? It's the school board is typically done in April. So just wanted to go ahead and remind y'all that that's coming up. What our process is going to be. What we'll do, Jonathan, you think you can get a list of our rotation sent out in the coming days, and then maybe get with each of us on what we're thinking there?
I can send it out tomorrow. I'll have that list, and I can send it out either tonight after the council meeting or first thing in the morning.
Yeah, so everybody remember what we do there. Jonathan will get us a list and get some feedback on each of you. Obviously, we can't. We'll need to get back together in an open meeting to discuss those nominees. And at the next meeting, what we'll do is we'll just say out loud what those vacancies are, just so we can comply with our own policy. But we'll have an entire month, really most of all of March and most of April to get that ironed out. We can do that in the first or second meeting of April, whenever we get ready for that.
And I know in the past, the mayor's office keeps a binder of people that have applied or asked to be on a particular board. So we do have that information that we'll be happy to share as well with each one of you if you require it. And then also, I know that at least one of you have asked, one of the reasons that we're doing this is to try to also vet people that come in and apply. So you may not know a name, And if you pick that name, some of your colleagues may have information about that individual that may be either in support or against that person, and information that you might like to know prior to making that appointment. So that's one of the reasons that we're looking at that.
Yeah, and this gives us, the way we're doing it here, this will give us plenty of time to do that vetting and get through that and not make a hurried decision.
Yes, sir.
All right. So our March 7th council meeting, we're way ahead of schedule here, but Jonathan, tell us about the event that is in conflict with our March 7th council meeting.
Sure. So today I received a notice from Scott Farmer, who's the director for Southeast Alabama Regional Planning and Development Commission.
Same gentleman that presented to us about the census.
Correct. And so his role in this process, when I was doing economic development, we had applied for a build planning grant along the 167 corridor. That grant had to be awarded through an agency like Scott's, through the Regional Planning and Development Commission, which it was. And so they're over the administration of that grant, of those federal funds. So they selected, or their committee selected Sane and Associates to do the kind of design or preliminary design about what route made sense, or routes, primary and alternate routes, how it should traverse and where it should go. And so they have done that to this point over the last year. And at this point, they are ready to conduct two public meetings, one in Hartford at Wiregrass Electric Cooperative on the 14th of March, and then one at the Enterprise Civic Center on March 7th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And so this will be for public input to show the routes that they considered during that process. And it says here there will be no formal presentation. Content of both meetings will be the same. So this is just a chance for the public to see it, have any input that they might like to have. There'll be a way for them to do that at the meeting. But it is a part of the process to go through the grant. It's public involvement.
So I guess the question in front of us first, make sure we understand this is the four laning or potential four lane. This the study before the study before the study to 4-lane 167 from the state line all the way to Enterprise, and then also parts of 52 from between Geneva and Hartford, right?
Correct. So the initial grant outlined 52 from I believe it was from Dothan to Hartford. The Governor Ivey had awarded that project by the time the grant was awarded, and they allowed us to change the scope of the project to consider 52 from Hartford to Geneva as part of the project.
Yeah. So, I think it is important that we have, if possible, that we be there, because we can't get into a room of our constituents without talking about 4-lane and 167. So, my recommendation, and this is, we'll just open it up for discussion, would be to consider moving this meeting to our regular meeting to 5:00. That way we're out of here before 6:00 and have enough time. The other option would be to put it at lunch that same day, which I know we've done in the past, or to move it to a different day entirely. What are your are already okay. So we're stuck. I guess our only option then would be to go at 5:00 to that meeting, and then be back here by 6:00 for our regular meeting. Right?
You could do the work session at a different time. Essentially, is what you're.
Meeting is from 5 to 7.
But it's a. Eugene said that meeting's from 5 to 7, but it's a come and go.
It is. It's a come and go. So they'll have display boards up there. There's no formal presentation. So again, there won't be a an agenda with a start and a stop. It'll just be, hey, come in, let the public absorb what they're seeing. There'll be some people there from SANE and others that you'll be able maybe to ask questions of. There'll be a form that you can fill out to submit, information or ideas that you have as a citizen about the project. But yeah, it's come and go.
Well, what about this then? What about doing our work session at 4:00 at the Civic Center? Adjourn, prior to 5:00. Go out, experience this event, and then head over here for our 6:00. It sounds like we got to have our 6:00 meeting.
Y'all go along with that?
Greg, what are your
Yeah.
Jonathan and staff see any issues with that? I know that's a lot of dancing around, but I don't. The only other option would be to not have a work session and to fumble through our council meeting, which I would prefer not to do.
No.
I don't
You see
hear
any
any
reason why
no,
that can't happen. So,
I don't.
So 4:00 work session, 5:00, 167 meeting all at the Civic Center, and then, we'll just have to get out of there 20 till 6 to come over here to conduct our regular meeting.
Okay.
All right. So 4:00 at 6. All right. We are a few minutes ahead. Before we go to our next item, which is an executive session, or any other brief issues that anybody wants to bring to the table for open discussion in our work session? Staff will give you all opportunity in your staff reports if y'all have anything. So hearing none, we'll move to the next item, which is an executive session regarding good name and character, and I believe some legal advice.
Yes, sir. Legal advice and good name and character.
Legal advice and good name and character. I will entertain a motion to do that.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go in executive session regarding good name and character and legal advice. Before we vote on that, I will mention that we expect that to last about 20 minutes and to be no other business discussed in the work session prior to our regular meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll be back in about 20 minutes.
If you want to see what's going on, that's it. If you're here to speak, privilege of the floor, they do that first. Yeah, first. So the pledge allegiance.
Yes, I did.
Used to be right.
But it still has to be legit. Well, it's sent it to you, but it's supposed to. They don't approve it. You know, expect you to put it in. Or they ask. I'm just trying to. 48 next. And then I went to Crystal. Told me last month. No, not a mini, it was micro, which they're smaller than. She said, then we'll be done. I said, I'm not spending more money. That's what Billy said. Who you gonna teach? Who you use? Billy said that he used and she's really good, but don't expect that all the time. Yeah, you'll still have the personality. You know, we're right on skills. Here she like we got one lesson on it. We were outside. Which they always do, but they were experts on aggressive. It's fun. When they go to bed, they lay. Well, they sleep. See, that just pushes it back. What's that?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 6 o'clock, so if I could call the meeting room to order. I will now call this meeting of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all members except Councilwoman Rich are present. If you would, please stand with me for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. We have Pastor Andrus from Christ the King Lutheran Church. Yes, sir.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this day, for this time. We thank you for the freedom that we have to gather, to worship, to assemble, to discuss matters of great big matters and small matters. We pray, Lord, for wisdom, for courage, for the face in this hour. We thank you for your hand of blessing on this city. We pray you continue to prosper us. To you be the glory. And we pray that you, God, all here in blooming where you plant us. We pray it in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, Council, if you would turn with me to the agenda that we discussed in the work session prior to this meeting. I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the City Council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by a request of a member of the City Council. I will now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, you'll see here the next item is a request to address the council for permit requests. We have Mr. Tony Bradley here with Church with the U Ag Drop. All right, come forward. All right, they're requesting to address the council to obtain a permit to hold the 2023 Egg Drop on Saturday, April 8th, 2023 from 7 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. at Bates Memorial Stadium.
Yes. Thank you for your time,
Yes, sir.
everyone, allowing us to come up and kind of put forth what we want to do. Again, this year, this will make our 8th one so far, our 8th annual. Normally, it's the Saturday right before Easter, which is this year will be April the 8th. We normally we're expecting again this year between 2,000 and 3,000 people.
Wow.
As we've seen people come from Florida, down from just south of Montgomery to just attend this. So what we're coming tonight is to kind of get approval, contingent on some insurance things that we know that has not gotten here yet. So that's kind of what we're here today to kind of look at.
All right. Well, yeah, we discussed this briefly beforehand. Chief Moore gave us a thumbs up on it. Any other questions from council? All right. Thank you, sir.
Do you have a comment, Billy?
Just here to get any other questions, but yes. That's the only thing we're working on is the insurance with Rainer, our city attorney, and our insurance. They know they're aware of what they need.
Right. Yeah.
So that's all we ask.
Yeah. All right.
Approval of that. Once Rainer gives us a clear, we're all good.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve this request contingent upon satisfying the city's requirements.
So moved.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
Thank you.
All right, we now have a request to address the council for a permit request. Ms. Erin for the St. Patrick's Day Parade and Half Pint Half K. So Ms. Grantham's going to come forward. She has requested to address the council to obtain a permit to hold the world's smallest St. Patrick's Day Parade and Half Pint Half K on Saturday, March 18th, 2023, with a rain date of Saturday, March 25th, 2023.
Yeah, good evening to everyone. Thank you. You pretty much covered it there, sir. But yes, we're going to be hosting the 30th anniversary of the world's smallest St. Patrick's Day Parade. It's pretty exciting news. Followed by the 5th year of the Half Pint Half K downtown Enterprise. It's the same race route that we've run for the last 4 years, which this would be the 5th. And we have gone over this with Chief Moore as well as Captain Kent. We had the geofencing data from last year that showed about 5,000 people downtown during this period of time. So we're looking forward to another 5,000 or more this year for this wonderful race. And so I think that about covers it.
All right. Any questions, Ms. Grantham? We got the thumbs up from Chief Moore in the work session prior. So if nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to approve this request.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
What was the time?
The time frame for the road closure is for the parade starts at 12 and the half pint starts at 12:30. Yes, sir.
All right, motion carries and move forward.
Thank you.
All right, we're now at the point of the meeting called Privilege of the Floor, which allows anyone from the public who's present here this evening 3 minutes to address the council on any matters that they see fit. Is there anyone here to address the council? Yes, ma'am. Come forward. Hey, please speak in the microphone and tell us your name.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Pamela Fleming. I live here in Enterprise. Thank you for allowing me your time. I would like to share with you some urgent conditions concerning David Road. Those conditions are safety. We need lighting. An example was my daughter got her car stuck in the mud like 12 o'clock midnight. There was no lighting. The only lighting she had was the aid for my car. And that's a safety issue because if she had to walk further, she would actually had to walk in the dark. And trying to say this in 3 minutes is pretty tough. But the second condition is the condition of the road. It's an ongoing thing. It's not a
Which road?
David Road.
David Road.
Yeah. It's not a condition that has been 10 years. It has been 20, 40, or more. To make it short, the condition of the road is very critical. When she was stuck that night, we could not get any help. The people that came, the truckers that came out, stated that the conditions of the roads were so bad that they didn't want to risk coming down. Their vehicles were too heavy and they didn't want to get stuck. Trying to speed this up. So the third condition is that it could have been a more critical thing. Someone could have been sick. There was no way in or out because both sides of the roads was blocked. At that time, I did not know that until the next morning. Her car was stuck there from Friday to Sunday because of the condition of the road, which is very critical. The third issue is our health. We have been looking at the road for years just from the fact that when it rains, it's muddy in the condition. But it goes further than that. It affects our health, our home, our cars are our greatest investment. And we have had to deal with this on a daily basis. The exterior of our homes, you know, when you pressure wash or clean bricks or whatever, it deteriorates when you have to do it so often. So our issues are not just the road being muddy and cluttered when it rains. We have daily issues when the weather is 90 degrees because we have to inhale the dust. Recently, we've had some trucks that I would say, and I'm not exaggerating, it's possibly 200 trucks a day on that road. And it has escalated the problem because the mess it has made. You know, you all have came out and pretty much did the same thing over and over. But when you put those rocks there, all it does when it rains, vehicles, whatever, all it do is just press that down, and then, you know, you come out and do it again. I mean, doing something like that over 20 years, you know, like, come on, we need to come up with another solution. And we have been very, very patient. This is going on into my third generation. My parents was there. I'm passing this on to her. It's time for us to have a paved road without just giving us, okay, it's in the future. That's what we have been handed for years. And I think the future is now. You say we live in a city of progress, but when I step out my door in my neighborhood, I don't see that. I don't feel that. And I would like to have that privilege. And there's others that see that as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else here to address the council? Yes, sir.
Johnny Hutchinson. I live on 1972's Clay Road. And Mr. Mayor, Councilman, we shouldn't have to live like we're living out there on that road now. Them trucks are running. We can't even go in our yard because of the dust they keeping up. They beat, and you know the bad thing about it? We paying for them to tap our road. How you paying? We pay taxes. The city buying the dirt from them. We paying for the dirt. I mean, it's disgusting what we living in now. And nobody seems to care. I went out the door one day last week, and I had to go back in the house. I started sneezing, and my glass was so dusty. Them trucks go up the road, and when they go up the road, they done beat the dirt into a powder. And no, my neighbor is 98 years old. The nurses can't even come and see him because they scared they're going to get stuck. The mail did not run out there Wednesday because they were scared they won't get stuck. The mail did not run out there Friday because it rained Thursday night and it wasn't nothing but a mud hole. Why we have to live like that? Tell me. Why? Yes, I know it was a dirt road 49 plus years ago when I moved out there. But we didn't have this problem. We didn't have this problem. They were going out the other way. They messed it up where they got stuck in the sand. Then they started going back out by us. And it's this whole just feeding the road. I got a 4-wheel drive truck. My neighbor got a Hyundai Sonata. It drags the ground when she go out. My other neighbors got small cars. They can't go out. Then when you start out and the trucks get behind you, they on your bumper. If you pull over, they'll pass you. I seen one of my neighbors stay right in the middle of the road and drive about 5 miles per hour where they couldn't pass him. I didn't blame him. I'm serious. If y'all will come out there while they running up and down the road and just see the dust cloud that they got out there. Don't take y'all vehicle down the road. Not why it's muddy, but why is it dusty and them holes. If we beat up the front end or tear up something on our truck, is y'all gonna pay for it? No, sir. But that's supposed to be a city street.
Thank you, Mr. Hutch.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else here to address the council? All right, we will.
Got one more.
We got one more. Okay. Sorry.
She's good.
He was
You can
talking.
pull the microphone down.
Yes, sir. He was talking about my father. My father is 98 years old.
What's your name?
I'm Patricia Evans. My father is James H. Leverett.
Spell your last name, please.
My last name is Evans. My daddy's last name is Leverette.
Okay.
I'm the young lady got stuck in the middle of the road. And I just panicked. And my cell phone didn't work. I got out and I walked to my dad's house. And my dad said, "What's going on with you?" I said, "I'm stuck in the middle of the road, Daddy." And I called my brother, and my brother's James Leverett, and he called, and they did get me out. And I want to thank you all for getting me out. But my daddy his health-wise, nurses have to come in and out of that road, and they cannot do that. And they're scared. And I'm scared. And I go down there every day to check on my father. And I'm just not pleased. And I hope and pray that you all can do something soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to staff reports. Do we have any staff reports? Barry?
Yes, sir. I thought I'd talk about David Road for just a minute. First of all, the city's not buying any dirt from David Road, but there is a pit that's operating down there on that road, on David Road. And we've graded that road like we have in the past, to keep it graded down. But the citizens are correct. We got large trucks. We've witnessed them coming down through there. We know who the contractor is that's hauling the dirt, and Shannon and I will go meet with that contractor and to develop a plan to, as soon as we fix it, trucks come down there and mess it back up again, and they're hauling just truck after truck after truck. Some of this dirt's going to other projects around town, but we have hauled in 6 loads of gravel within the last week, trying to stabilize that roadbed to get it to where it'll stand up. But as fast as we're fixing it, the hauling trucks are tearing.
That's what's changed is the large truck traffic.
It's always been a dirt road, and it's always been one that we've graded in the past. Talking to Shannon, we've graded that road and kept it in pretty good shape. But the truck traffic, what we've seen, and this has happened in the last 4 weeks, is really just they've increased they have a dirt pit there, and they're hauling a good bit of traffic out through that pit. So we're going to go meet with the owner of the pit and see what their plans are and come up with a better plan to stabilize that road. I don't have a better answer for you today, but we do know the gentleman that runs the pit, and we both have worked with him in the past. So we'll see what we can do to stabilize David Road.
How long is the road, or how long is the problem?
That they were coming out one side and they were coming back down towards on the southern side of that. I don't have the length in front of me, but it's a pretty substantial little road there. I mean, it's someone asked me what the cost would be to pave that road. I mean, it's a $1 million fix. It's a significant investment to pave that road.
Part of that road a county road?
I believe part of it's county, part of it's city. I'm not 100% sure. Shannon, do you know that?
Is that pit near Three Notch Road? Down
It
at that
is,
end?
yes, sir. That's it.
Yeah, they could go out that way.
That road is county on both ends. It's county on both ends, the city in the middle. Yes.
So we know we have a problem. We've tried to stabilize that thing the last couple of weeks. It's not that we're not trying. It's just the truck traffic is becoming a hindrance to keep that thing up.
Yes.
So we'll meet with the contractor that's there and see what his plans are. Is this a short-term thing, a long-term thing? Let's come up with a plan to stabilize that road.
Right.
We also got engineering. We'll look at lights on that road as well. We'll get on that this week and see if there's anything that we can do there as well.
I would assume our ordinance, our light ordinance, does not differentiate between a paved road and an unpaved road.
It does not. So we'll look at that and see what we can do for a lighting plan along that road as well.
Okay.
So 2 separate issues there, but Shannon and I will go meet with the contractor ASAP and see what we can do about doing that. As fast as we're fixing it, like I said, you said what, six trucks that we hauled in, 7-yard trucks. I mean, we've hauled in a good bit of gravel trying to stabilize that section of road, and this just you're chasing your tail on it, to be honest with you. So we've got to do something different. So, but it's not that we're not trying. It's not that we're attempting to. It's just the large truck traffic that seems to be.
All right.
causing the
So does
problem.
the county have to maintain part of it and you maintain part of it? Is that what's going
We
on?
trade out.
The county blades the end of it back down toward 84, and we generally bring everything from where they stop back out toward 3 Notch. I don't know the other end of it.
Any other questions?
This is not a simple matter, and it's an ongoing problem. Mr. Hutchison attends our meetings nearly every month, and he has been coming here for a long time. I went to his home last week and visited him. I went down David Road Sunday. I got through without any problem, but I was on a truck, so it is a mess, and I do feel for these people, and I certainly hope that we can get something done.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll wait for a report from y'all on recommendations.
Yeah,
and path
Shannon will
forward.
go meet with them, tomorrow or Thursday, and then get back with y'all with an email about a direction how we can approach this.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Any other staff reports?
We are taking bids Thursday this week for City Hall renovations. So it's 2:00 in this room for City Hall, and we're hopeful that we'll get good bids on that project. We're hearing that contractors are busy and subs are busy, and nothing's new. But keep your fingers crossed that we get good bids on Thursday, and if everything goes well, we'll have that on your next city council agenda.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other staff reports? All right, moving on to old business, of which we have none, so we'll move straight to new business. We have a review and consider resolution 022123, which is the sales and use tax administration and collection. I introduce and call for consideration of resolution 022123, authorizing the Alabama Department of Revenue to administer and collect all sales and use taxes levied by the City of Enterprise beginning May 1st, 2023. I'll entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So move.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 022123. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement regarding the ESCC pickleball courts. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Enterprise State Community College related to the construction of pickleball courts on ESCC's property located on George Wallace Drive. Do I hear a motion to approve this authorization?
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement with KPS LLC at 116 South Main Street. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with KPS LLC for the lease of office space located at 116 South Main Street, subject to review by the city administrator and city attorney. Do I hear a motion to approve this authorization?
So move.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute this lease agreement. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider authorizing the mayor to submit a proposal for an intergovernmental service agreement with Fort Rucker. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to submit a proposal for an intergovernmental service agreement with Fort Rucker. Further request is made to authorize the mayor, city administrator, and city attorney to negotiate the terms of the agreement. Do I hear a motion to approve this authorization?
So moved?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to submit this proposal for intergovernmental service agreement with Fort Rucker. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider authorizing the city administrator to apply for a grant with the National Fitness Campaign. I call for a motion to authorize the city administrator to apply for a National Fitness Campaign grant to construct an outdoor functional fitness space located at the new Recreation and Aquatic Center. I'll entertain a motion to approve this authorization.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to authorize the city administrator to apply for the grant with the National Fitness Campaign. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider a memorandum of understanding with Main Street, Alabama, regarding a pop-up shop. I introduce and call for consideration of the approval of a memorandum of understanding between the Enterprise Main Street and Main Street, Alabama, per the terms of the 3-year agreement. Main Street, Alabama will provide a shipping container, otherwise called a pop-up shop, outfitted as a vanilla box for a retail or service business to incubate within the designated downtown Main Street district. Further authorization is requested to place the pop-up incubator at 123 South Main Street. I'll entertain a motion to approve this memorandum of
So
understanding.
moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider bid recommendations for the municipal court regarding on-site scanning and indexing. I introduce and call for consideration of a recommendation from Barry Mott, bid purchasing agent, on behalf of Enterprise Municipal Court to award bid requisition number 2023-02 for on-site scanning and indexing of approximately 220,000 plus or minus municipal court documents to Business Systems and Consultants in the amount of 0.16 or 16.5 cents per document. Other bids received are as follows: Avenue Insights and Analytics LLC for 26 cents per document. I'll entertain a motion to approve this recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation for municipal court on-site scanning and indexing. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider some board appointments for the Main Street Board. I call for nominations to the Enterprise Main Street Board to fill the seats of the following board members due to an end of term or resignation. Those being Sheila Harris, Lee Yon, Tracy Simmons, and Wendy Grimes. The nominations are now open. Do I hear any?
I'd like to submit the following 4 names as nominees for the 2022 Main Street Board of Directors: Sheila Harris, Shirley Skinner, Justin Robertson, and Gina Esparza.
So that's Sheila Harris, Shirley Skinner, Justin Robertson,
And Gina Esparza.
and Gina. All right. Are there any other nominations? All right. For the sake of clarity, I'm going to assume that your nomination for Sheila Harris is to replace her own seat. The
Right.
Shirley Skinner is to replace Lee Yon.
Mhm.
Justin Robertson is to replace Tracy Simmons, and Gina Esparza is to replace Wendy Grimes.
Correct.
All right. Hearing no other nominations, is that correct? No other nominations? All right, I'll close the nominations and entertain a motion to approve Scotty's Scotty's nominations as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Sheila Harris, Shirley Skinner, Justin Robertson, and Gina Esparza for the Main Street Board. And like I said, those are to replace Sheila Harris to continue in her seat, Shirley Skinner to replace Lee Yon, Justin Robertson to replace Tracy Simmons, and Gina Esparza to replace Wendy Grimes. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll now consider appointing the ALM, that's Alabama League of Municipalities voting delegate. I call for a motion to appoint the city's voting delegate for the Alabama League of Municipalities Annual Convention in Birmingham, May 10th through 13th, 2023. Do I hear a motion for a delegate? I need a name.
Okay. I'll go ahead. I'd like to make a motion and submit Greg Paget's name as our voting delegate for the city to the ALM Annual Convention.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve Greg Paget as our voting delegate. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we have a request to close the city offices. Introduce and call for consideration of request from Human Resources Director Christina Meissner to close city offices on Friday, March 17th, 2023 from 12:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. for a staff development and enrichment event at the Enterprise Civic Center. The closure request is so that all employees may attend. Do I hear a motion to grant this request?
So moved.
Second.
All right, with motion is second to grant the request to close city offices. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor, you have a report for us?
Thank you, Mr. President. This Friday, the deadline to register for ages 13 to 15 baseball and adults church softball league through Enterprise Parks and Recreation. You can register in person at the Civic Center through the Park and Rec website. Construction for the new multi-purpose field next to PJ Park should start this week. That project should take about a year to complete. Main Street Enterprise wants your feedback on survey of the downtown overlay district. This survey is open to everyone. You can find the link on our website or on the Downtown Enterprise Facebook page. Speaking of downtown, the barricades remain in place for your safety. Please do not move or cross them. Pedestrians are reminded to use the sidewalk and to only cross Main Street, the designated crosswalk. March the 18th is the 6th annual Oscar Club Day of Service in the City of Enterprise. Residents are encouraged to participate in service projects in our community. Look for more details and ways to get you involved in the coming weeks. As always, I encourage you to stay up to date on what's happening in Enterprise by following our Enterprise City's Facebook page or by visiting our website. We'd also like to thank everyone for coming today.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Goolsbee.
You ladies and gentlemen who came tonight and spoke about David Road, I have been out and seen that you have a problem, and I certainly hope that we can get improved for you to where you don't have the problem in the future. And Mayor, I was glad to hear you report the day of service on March 18th by the Oscar Club, asking all clubs, churches, individuals to get a project and serve that day. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Councilman Paget.
Thank you all for coming. I'd also like to echo what's been said about David Road. Hope we can find a good solution, take care of that problem for you guys. And you all have a good night.
Yeah, I will too, Echo. Thank you very much for coming. Let us know. We're going to get right on that. Thank you to everyone for coming out. Thank you for all our citizens that are online watching it. And then I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to all our city workers, all our employees. They do an outstanding job each and every day. Appreciate you all. And thank you. And thank you again.
Yeah, thank everybody. Certainly did have my colleagues' comments on David Road. Thank you all sincerely for coming in and bringing awareness to the situation. I certainly was not aware of it. These recent developments. So thank you all for doing that. Everybody have a good evening.
Which one is David? When you take a left into Caution Lane, name the crossroad. Yeah. Church. It's about